I've been in a series about making the top 10 because God put a burden on my heart that you are going to be in the top 10 of your field, in the top 10 of your demographic, in the top 10 of your area, and students, you're going to be in the top 10 of your class. Dr. Benjamin Elijah May said, why run a race just to be in second place? You've got to believe with everything in you, you're going to make it in the top 10. I want you to join me today in Matthew chapter 27, verse number 34. Matthew 27, verse number 34. And here's what it reads in the King James Version. They gave him vinegar to drink. They mixed it with gall. When Jesus tasted it, he went out drinking. They gave him vinegar to drink and they mixed it with gall, but when Jesus tasted it, he refused to drink it. I'm going to preach for a little while today using as a subject, it left a bad taste in my mouth. It left a bad taste in my mouth. The phantom of COVID-19 still persists in haunting this nation. Up to 150,000 have fallen as casualties with over 4 million unresolved cases, and it's still climbing. A conundrum that the CDC has yet to conquer is the fact that the disease leaves absolutely no trace. Up to 80% of people who test positive have registered subjective complaints that they have lost their sense of smell and lost their taste. Vanderbilt University discovered that those, in fact, who experience a sense dysfunction have milder cases, but those whose taste is normal are the ones who end up on ventilators. One plausible reason is that those with upper respiratory infections often have congestion and drainage, and it leads to an inflammatory reaction, which in many cases leads, hear this, to a permanent loss of taste. In other words, when you lose taste, it is indicative that something is wrong on the inside. So I'm just curious, how do you have such bad taste in men? How do you have such bad taste in picking the right woman? How do you have bad taste in picking your friends? It's got to be something wrong on the inside. And it's not COVID. It's another disease called compromise. There's a medical term for an impaired sense of taste. The varying degrees range from metallic to salty to bitter. It can be prompted from pregnancy, chemotherapy, menopause, or an imbalanced prescription. At a lesser degree stemming from tobacco or coffee. On the other side of the pendulum, there are instances in your life that leave a bad taste in your mouth. From a negative experience, a toxic encounter, or a darkened memory. More pungent than garlic is the fact that they never paid you your money back. They dismissed your lack of credentials. They didn't acknowledge your contribution. They ignored you while you were present. They tried to belittle you to hide that they felt small. They intentionally looked over you because you were bigger in your potential than they were in their reality. They recklessly mishandled you. They intentionally misled you. And don't even bring them close to me, and please, whatever it is, don't bring them up to me, and I don't want them around me. So when you invite me, my first question is, who's going to be there? Because they have left a bad taste in my mouth. In Revelation chapter 3, verse number 16, the Lord declares that because you are neither hot nor cold, I want to spew you out of my mouth. Have you ever thought about the fact that being sometimey turns God off? That when it is that you are not consistent, it leaves a bad taste in his mouth. He's trying to figure out, how is it you could do all that shouting at the church, but now for 17 weeks you don't even nod your head in the living room? If he's the same God, how come you can only worship when cameras are on? But he never heard you speak in tongues sitting in your car. Never heard you cry out when things were going well. He says, choose which one. I'm tired of you dating me, but never making our relationship public. Got to figure out, are you using me or are you available for me to use you towards my glory? Nothing disgusts me more than seeing innocent black bodies like after he was arrested with trumped-up charges, they whipped him with lashes, assigned no public attorney, and they refused to feed him for almost a week. They affixed him to a rugged cross and used rustic nails. They hoisted him up in order to amplify his shame. They put humiliation over his head and then pierced him in the side when none of the disciples would stand by his side. And then while he was using his words sparingly, he blurted out, I thirst. The soldiers beneath him were somewhere between mocking him and having mercy on him when they offered him a cool drink. It's a drink of vinegar mixed with gall, which was the